Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cuts Academy, Bristol, Crown Cuts Academy, JC, and Craig's Crown Cuts downtown Johnson City. Spreading love the JC way. Spreading love is the only way we know how to do it. It's the Crown Cuts way. Barber College, Barber College Success, where you get information, where you get tips on how to be a barber, how to be successful. We try to make it epic. We try to let you earn the crown. And my co-host himself in person.
Am Fields. Am I your barber on Instagram? If you don't know by now,
Yes, sir.
that's probably some people are calling it Amy, Ami.
And he got this guest on today. So I'm gonna let him introduce him. Let his guest introduce himself, and we'll jump into this topic that's hot.
This is Aaron. I'll say his name, but this is a longtime friend of mine. Went to school together. I think he was probably one of the first people to motivate me to be the best I can.
Hey, no doubt.
Yeah, he threw a forearm in my mouth at a practice one time. I was like, you know
Hey.
what? I'm gonna get that guy.
That's how you become friends, though.
Yeah,
It's the truth,
it's
man.
been love ever since.
No
So,
doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt.
you want to introduce yourself?
So my name's Aaron Lundy. I own and operate Lundy's Lawn Care and Precision Curbing in Chilhowie, Virginia. We're based primarily in Abingdon, Virginia. We service. We're a property maintenance company, so we do anything from mowing, landscaping, tree removal services. So we kind of have a multifaceted business that helps folks with their outside needs. So yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Awesome.
Amazing. Come to think of that, I just thought of something randomly. What's that? The Tiny Desktop concert. Anthony Hamilton has a
NPR.
NPR. He has a freestyle on there, and the song "Amazing." That's one of the best renditions you will ever hear of a song. Anthony Hamilton on the Tiny Desk concert.
I'm about to watch it. I love those concerts.
Amazing. It's just
Right.
anyway, but yeah, you got to get a little bit of humor. But we're gonna have this hot topic today. We're gonna talk about retention and how to keep employees, how to keep barbers. People may ask, why would you bring someone random on the podcast? Because I think all genres, anything have the same application.
Sure.
Most stuff have the same application.
Absolutely.
And in our society right now, one of the biggest things that's going on is employee retention, and where people don't want to work. So we're gonna talk about some things, come up with some creative ideas, and talk about why and how we can keep employees. What we need to do as far as any type of industry that you have out there. What can you say? What can you do?
Well, I tell you one thing for us is, one thing that I hear a lot is that, nobody wants to work nowadays,
Right.
and I like, honestly, that kind of makes my stomach hurt, to even think or talk like that, just because, we have to take that scenario and sit it over here to the side. And how do we fix that problem? One thing for me that for us, for our business to be successful, and any business to be successful, it takes people.
Mhm.
And one thing when we have people come through our hiring process, we talk about, we don't really landscape or mow grass or cut your tree down. Our product is our people.
Yes.
And so we're looking for people that come into our company and that want to be successful, and want to see our vision and want to see our dream and want to make that a reality and want to help us become, because it ain't about me. My name
Right,
is on the sign and my name's on the side of the truck. But at the same time, it's about the Tylers and the Scotts and the people that actually work for us and come in every day. So
Hey, Aaron's.
yeah, that's it, man. That's the truth. And so, we're really looking for people that are highly motivated, want to be successful, want to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
With a good attitude, because attitude is everything.
It's the truth, man. 100%.
Attitude is everything, and it's important that you say that, because most people think that you have to have a degree in something to be good at it. When I say a degree, just specialize in it.
Sure.
You can have a understanding, get introduced to it, and the people who you work around will help you enhance that skill.
Sure.
Because if you have a good attitude, you have an open mindset, there's not too much you can't learn and can't adapt to.
I agree with that 110%. We really, like I said, we focus on creating a culture, at our office. And for us, we really want to do things different than just be, your typical lawn care maintenance company.
Right.
We wanted to bring people in that, like I said, highly motivated, want to be at work, want to enjoy their job. That's a big thing nowadays. A lot of people just punch in, punch out.
Right.
We want people to be, like I said, a part of something bigger than themselves. And I think to some extent that kind of starts with me. I wanted to create something that was bigger than me.
and be able to take feedback as well.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
those things are important.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
How many people do you employ?
Right now, we have 16 full-time employees.
Mhm.
So, and just to kind of give you a little background on us, I actually worked in the Department of Corrections before I started doing this.
Okay.
And I did that for almost 5 years. And I started this company as just something to do with my spare time. And I literally started with nothing. Like when I say nothing, like people think I'm funny. Like I literally started with nothing. My first mower had no hood. It was a riding tractor.
But the thing was, right? You did it because you had a love for it.
That's it. Well, and that's one thing, I developed a love for it, I would say.
He became very passionate about it, and you could see it by his posts when he would. I remember when he first started, he would take pictures of his yards, and the pictures weren't that. Some of them weren't that great, but
Sure.
then the pictures started getting better, and you could really see the stripes.
Development.
And that's you
the
can
growth.
really see and that's really when he started marketing himself. I
Absolutely.
think, yeah,
Absolutely. And I think part of it has something to do with my background in athletics too, is wanting to be successful in something,
Right.
whether it be, like I said, lawn care, business related type stuff, or even in the Department of Corrections at the time, and then, I started and just started working and hustling, my way, and got it to the point where, like I said, we were 3 years after we started, we decided to go out full time, and it was just me and another guy. So in roughly, that was August 25th of 19, and literally it was me. So from August 25th to now, we've grown it to the point where there's 16 employees, and the amount of volume that we're pushing, that type of thing. So and it's been a learning curve for sure. It's not something that just all of a sudden happened. It's been a lot of trials and stuff like that. So
And the reason why we try to bring people like yourself who's expertise in something else,
sure,
so people can understand and see that you can parallel a lot of professions.
absolutely,
And it takes the same drive, the same grit to get where you need to be, the same type of skills internally and values that people should have to be successful.
absolutely.
And when I went to the hair show, that's how I knew Aaron needed to come on the podcast, because I was literally cutting Aaron's hair, and he was talking about he went to a lawn show,
Mhm.
and he was telling me how the one thing he took away was you need to learn your customer and your target market,
Right.
right? So I'm sitting at the hair show, and this is weeks later, and then Chris Basio on stage, and like, Chris Basio, man, it's like the pinnacle of the barber industry.
Right.
And this the first thing this man says is you need to know your customer and target market. I'm like, oh man.
I mean, but you do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do, because you can better service them.
Absolutely.
And you can
Yep.
better build clientele, because that's where referrals come in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Just knowing who you want to provide services to and what that looks like.
Right.
And I'm a big believer too, is I ask people this all the time. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, what? And I ask people that. I had a girl start this morning. I interviewed her like 3 weeks ago, her first interview. And I asked her, she's 25 years old. I said, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you want? And I think that's a big thing for me, and how I've been able to retain really good folks is because I care about their 5-year plan.
Right.
I see what they want. I
Their
know what they
vision.
want. Yeah. What do you want for your life? Not only professionally, but personally. Like, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? Because for me to accomplish my 5-year goal, it takes those people accomplishing their 5-year goal,
Right.
To have the job to want to get there.
Absolutely.
And it's also important too. I've heard something else too. If you're wondering where you are today and what's going on with your life today, think about your past 3 years.
Oh yeah.
What is your past 3 years like? What did that look like? So if you're in a
It's funny
position
you
right
say
now
that.
that you don't like, you're not happy with, what does the past 3 years look like?
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's something too that I try not to. There's times where like my wife gets on to me because I'm so forward thinking that I don't think about what I've been through to get to where I'm at.
Right.
And like, there's times where like I almost have this out of body experience, like where I sit back and I like think about what I've been through to get where I'm at right here. And, just even going back to like my college career and stuff like that in the last 10 years, let's say, when you look at that and you look at what it's taken to get you right here. One thing one of my college coaches always said, and it's resonated, it's so practical to life. He talks about the process always outweighs the event.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was, he would preach that to us. And I always thought he was, whatever, as a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. But like
Right.
now looking back on it, it's about the process. It's
Yep.
not necessarily about the destination,
That's that one pop song where it says, how's it go? It's the climb. It's about the climb. That's all it's about.
It's simple but it's also yet difficult, because it's going to take someone a while to figure that out.
Sure.
The process outweighs the event. And most people sit there and think about that. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But as you start to think and you start to develop the know-how and what it's about, you will figure it out.
Sure. And to put it in layman's terms, and what he would describe it to us is like, and you can relate to this being a college athlete as well, like, and even a high school football player, or basketball player, whatever the case may be, you'd practice 5 times before you got to a game on Saturday.
Yes.
So you would do 5 times the amount of work to get to that one event.
Yes.
Well, then if you think about, in college, you only had 12 games, you had 12 opportunities. Well, then think of like the winter workouts and the running and the spring practice and the summer workout. I mean, everything
The
process. Oh, it's crazy, man.
That leads up to that.
So much. And it's like, that has shaped me more as a person and given me the opportunity to do what I'm doing now than probably anything else.
And everything happens for a reason.
That's the truth, man. For real.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well, the individual person who you are, you're molded to do your profession, your craft, a long time ago.
Sure. All right.
Those habits instilled in you a long time ago.
Sure.
And application part of it, when you start applying it, it might take some time to learn and understand, but you understand there's a process and you understand that you will be good at it.
Sure.
Because of your attitude.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think a lot of times when we talk about this industry of barbering, when students come in, they expect that process right away.
No.
They want to skip the process and go straight to the event.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's going to happen.
Right.
You got guys trying to come off the weed eater to the mower too early.
And that's the thing. A lot of times, this is no joke.
No, wait, I have to tell you this before you say that. Craig, what this man has never mowed a lawn. I got to put it out. He's never mowed a lawn.
Not one time.
Not one time.
In his life. I thought y'all had it me. I thought that was another cool thing.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. But go ahead. What you say?
That's hilarious, man. We could definitely change that.
I get that all the time.
If you're looking for a great opportunity to advance your skill set and broaden your horizons, we would definitely love to bring you on.
What a selling point.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I always wanted to get on one of those zero turns.
Dude, what are we waiting on?
He's got one in the van.
What are we waiting on, man?
But let me tell you this, right? I always equate cutting grass or mowing, lawn care to haircutting.
For sure.
I always equate that because you have to follow. You have to have a formula to get to your end results. You have to have a pattern to understand, almost see what the yard is going to look like when it's finished.
Sure.
You have to understand what the end of the movie looks like before you even do it, to have a broad perspective
Absolutely.
of it. And that's how haircutting is. You have to visualize the end of the haircut, know what the haircut's going to look like.
Sure.
Because you're going to be more efficient then.
Sure. Oh, for sure, man. That's something, like going back to what you talked about, like when people come in our company, typically, and you kind of start, I don't want to say at the bottom of the totem pole, but unless you've got it's a little different for us than it is other, occupations, that skill set, man, kind of has to be, it's kind of a rite of passage too. When people come in, they want to know that like you're willing to ride a weed eater all day and like, do that type of stuff to be able to get the opportunity to ride a mower or whatever the case may be. So it's important that people see that and see that, when they start out with no experience, that's something we've had to overcome as a company too. Cause a lot of folks come in, with that attitude that,
how did you do that? How did you keep their focused on the task at hand rather than worried about trying to get somewhere else?
I think this generation, to be honest with you, the millennial style generation, which includes myself, is very microwave society. So you have to keep their goals short term. You can't. Unfortunately, like my mom and dad, they were all built on the future and all about retirement. Well, I can tell you right now, my brother who's 26, 7, 5, he could care less about retirement. He just wants that next paycheck, this, that, the next thing. So I think for us, we've really structured things to a point where it's like we give people short term goals. And we give people opportunities to make their own money, if that makes sense.
See, I think about like video games, like the way they keep people playing video games is like they let you work for another level and you work hard and level and then to the point it almost gets too continuous and then they give you something. And that's what keeps feeding you as you get that level, then they give you something again. And that's how they keep you playing the game. So I guess that's the same way with employing people nowadays is give them short-term goals to reward them and to keep them satisfied.
That makes sense because I just thought of something as you were saying that. You know what I mean? It's different things to add to my arsenal to keep it exciting and keep it fun because people, like you said, in microwave society, people get bored, they get tired, they get frustrated, and it's not to their fault because there's so many things that's out there to distract us. And we trying to grab all of it at once.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So you have to find a happy place where you can tell someone and show someone, hey, okay, take it step by step. Weigh the process every quarter, second quarter, then get to the third quarter, then get to the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
And understand that process is going to take time.
Absolutely. And that's one thing, that I see. I've done several things since I got out of school. And that was one thing that I wanted to do different about my business was give guys opportunities, throughout our company to be successful.
Mhm.
And, one thing that this is an awesome idea, this guy, my mentor that I talked about, he actually, we had talked back and forth, and he was like, in our pay structure, we've actually got it set up to where you're required to read certain books before you can get a raise.
That's big.
Huge. I mean, like when I sat down and thought about that, I was like, whoa. But it's like what happened was
Mhm.
like, he requires certain certifications and stuff, as you move throughout his company. But at the same time, you have to read these 2-3 books. And then he sits down and he said, what keeps me accountable is I have to sit down with you
Mhm.
and we have to talk about that book, and I've got a written out deal about it.
And if you're serious and you want to hold yourself accountable, and you talking about I need a raise, well, the raise is there for you.
Yep.
But hold yourself accountable and be a part of the mission. Be a part of this, the solving. Not don't be a part of the problem.
Absolutely.
That makes me think about Jamarcus Russell when they gave him the blank tapes.
The blank, right?
Yeah, and had you heard that story?
Vaguely.
So the quarterback, he was a first round pick. I think,
LSU.
yeah, number 1 pick, and he was playing awful. And they were asking if he watched film, and they said, "Yeah, I watched film." So they gave him some tapes to see if he was watching film. The tapes are blank.
Right.
So they came in the next day and they were asking him about the blitz package. He's like, "Oh yeah, I seen the blitz package." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he never watched the tapes. So they hold you accountable.
That's true.
If you really want it, show how bad do you want it.
Because some people, as in football, you can camouflage until the film come on.
That's the truth.
The eye in the sky don't lie.
That's the truth, man. That's the truth, man.
You can camouflage. Because I remember going through practice, and this guy, he didn't do his assignment, and he lied the whole time and made me look bad. And I was like, I didn't say much. I was like, the film's gonna come on. We're gonna see it.
Right.
And we all gonna see it right there. And then he was just like falling in his chair, and I'm just like, okay. The film's not gonna lie.
Well, and we talk about too in our company, we really talk about signing your name to stuff.
Yeah.
So, one thing I'm sure y'all talked about when you were in school, same thing we do. We sit down and we talked about like signing your name. Everything you do, I'm a big believer in that, is that when you do it, you're signing your name to it.
Colin Powell said that. You put your name on it, do it well.
That's it.
If your name is to clean the back of the trash can, do it well. So if someone will come back and say you didn't do it right.
Performances, not only you have the instructor's initials, but you have the student's initials.
Yeah.
So we was talking about something how to keep track
Well,
of
we'll implement that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way nobody would ever be no complaint. You signed this, you
I
did
thought the
it.
meeting went well today because a lot of stuff was just trying to create some solving issues.
Do you have regular meetings with your open-ended meetings with your clients?
Absolutely. Clients are
Or your excuse me, not your clients, but your
employees.
employees. Yeah.
Yeah, we try to at least once a week have a staff meeting where everybody's involved. And the old adage, the open door mentality, but like I constantly, like am asking, hey, how could we do this better? One thing that I really I think a lot of people in other settings don't, like when I worked Department of Corrections, they could give a crap about what you thought. This is exactly what has to happen. Even if there was a better way to do it,
Right.
they didn't want to hear about it. And so for me, one thing that application I've taken is like, hey, I hired that new girl today. She started today. Well, we sat down and talked, and I said, here, I want this taken care of. You take care of it, and you design the whole thing, and you just let me know.
Yeah.
We'll look at it, and if there's a better way to do it, I'm open to suggestions.
Empowerment.
It's
Empowerment.
the truth, man.
Yeah, that's big.
That's the truth. So I mean, that was a big thing for me too. Is just making that more applicable to our business. Is hey, I'm open to suggestions. A lot of things too is I give people, like you said, empowerment. There's a guy, we had a situation where a truck broke down, and he called me and wanted me to know, like, hey, what's the solution to this problem? I said, hey, I'll be at the shop in 5 minutes. And I turned around, I came back to our office, and I looked at him and I said, stop what you're doing. And he stopped, and I said, give me 3 solutions to this problem right now. And so he gave me 3, practical solutions to that problem. I said, now out of those three processes that you're thinking about, tell me which one gets you on the job fastest. So I started to get, and he looked at me, and he used to actually be a former assistant manager at a Food City. And like for him, he's like, dude, in my entire career working at Food City, I've never had that opportunity to make a decision.
And that empowers you. You feel good about
It's
that.
crazy,
and
man.
then you want to give more to the company.
It's the truth, man.
Yeah.
You feel more involved that way, that your opinion matters.
It's the truth.
And coming from, because I work corrections too, and he's right. I mean, they would say this, they would, how do you feel? And they don't care. It wasn't important. And he felt that. And that's why the morale was so low.
Yep.
And when you empower people too, you kind of alleviate them from making excuses too.
It's the truth.
Because their feet are to the fire.
Yeah.
And they understand, I made this decision, and this decision can affect all of us.
That's the truth, man.
So if you want to be empowered, you want to continuously grow in a company. Those things, when your turn is up, I mean, your name is only do it well
That's the truth.
and
Yep.
appreciate that.
Yep.
And then you empower them. That means they have more. Like the book I read called "Skin in the Game." I mean, when you empower them, they feel like they're more invested in it because it's their own decision.
Yep.
So they feel like they want to make the right decision for themselves and the company, and not just for themselves.
What I think too, it's more than money. Like a lot of people, you know, I say this all the time. Like, you can make $100,000 a year and you're digging ditches and you don't like what you do every day,
Right.
and you don't enjoy what you're doing. I mean, you're still digging ditches. You may make $100,000 a year,
Right.
but you're still digging ditches, And I think it's more than money. A lot of the root of some of the issues I think with retention these days is people are too focused on money.
How can we keep money?
That's the truth,
without-
man. Or how much money am I making? And it's like, yes, that matters because, suitable incomes matter. And one point to the suitable income thing, a good friend of mine, it kind of hit me different. It hit me in a different type of way. I was having some trouble finding guys. And, much like you do with Craig here, like I was leaning on my mentor. I was like, dude, what do I do? And he was like, let me ask you something. He said, you're trying to do something different. What's your starting pay? And I told him, and he was like, could you live off of that? And I was like, man, it hit me different. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, you gotta, I have 2 little daughters. I'm married, the whole deal. And it really hit me, and he was like, okay, so assuming you could, he said, I want to ask you this question. Assuming you could make it off of that money, how motivated would you be?
Right.
And so I had to
there.
exactly. I had to stay there. He said, because
with all the other competition in place, they could go work.
Would you give your heart and soul? So like, as much as it isn't all about money, at the same time, a lot of folks don't want to pay people accordingly because they feel that,
they're losing profits.
It's the truth, man. And it's like, that to me, it's really not, it's not about that. I mean, to me, like I said, I tell my people this all the time, I make a set wage regardless of like, this or that.
I feel like that revolution really came when coronavirus hit and the athletes and the owners were going back and forth. Like, who's going to take this hit? And they kept going back and forth, like, hey, how much are we worth to you? And now contracts have gone up because they're like, okay, this you've told us how much you're worth.
Right. I mean, everything's going on. I've even seen where I read something the other day where they have to start paying NFL coaches more because we have a couple coaches in college who are making over $10 million, and to keep coaches in NFL, you have to be comparable.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to
LSU called what's the name, Kelly, and said, "Hey, we give you $95 million." He said, "I'll be there tomorrow." He said,
"That's true, man."
I mean, you have to think about it. You know what I mean, and consult with your family and friends to make a decision on something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You once you're compensated, a lot of times that will make you perform.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you're compensating, some people just still blue turds.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a quote of the day, blue turd.
That's it, man. That's the truth, man.
Yeah. So you have to find creative ways to keep people around. And again, Barber College Success brought to you by Craig Charles of Croncuts Academy JC, Croncuts Academy Bristol, and Craig's Croncuts Downtown, and my co-host himself.
And my Fields.
Yes, and give a shout out to our sponsors, Colossal Brand. Hit them up, colossal.org. He has some wonderful stuff going on for the holidays. But again, Barber College Success is a place where you can get advice, get tips on haircutting, tips on how to be successful, tips on how to run your business, tips on how to become a better student for your work environment, how to work with people, how to work together with someone, how to build a brand, how just to be better. It's all about pluses in this show, not about negatives. No minuses. Because everybody in life, I believe, want to have pluses. And then to have pluses, there's certain things in life that you have to do. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to continue rolling the wheel. Because a lot of stuff and process and applications have been put in place from day one. But we try to skip them, we try to jump over it and not do it right. And then we fall back on our face and have to go back to the beginning and try it again.
To the fundamentals.
Yes.
So what are some of the things what are some of the ways that you use the word like reward your employees, but to acknowledge them, like to show them that you appreciate, other than, of course, monetary?
Sure.
What are some other ways to do that?
I think one thing, just at its core, man, would talk about like, I'm a real big thank you guy. Like I always, every employee that came in this morning, I talked about their weekend, how it went. What did you do? Was it that you become important to me? You know what I'm saying? Was it good? Was it bad? That type of thing. I'm a big believer in thank you, not just thanks. I'm always thank you. I appreciate what you do.
Thanks sounds lazy.
It does, man. And it seems passive.
It does.
But all those things seem like it doesn't work, but they work. Just
Oh,
going around the
100%.
room and just telling people, "Hey, how you doing today?" Shaking hands, bumping fists.
Hmm.
There's something in that. There is something in that, letting people know that you care. Even though someone might be mad at you, disappointed or something, but you come around the room and you come to them, they want their turn and be like, "Hey, how you doing today?"
It's
They
true.
they want that. They want to feel that wanting to belong to something.
I agree with that 100%. And one thing too that I do, it sounds kind of weird, but like, if I did, hey, how was your weekend? And you reply with anything, but it wasn't great, or, hey, I had a great time with my family or something. Well, what happened? What's up? Like, what's going on? Is there something you need to talk about? Like that way, even if they don't tell me, no, it's nothing, or whatever the case may be, that they know that, hey, anytime I'm here, or anytime you have a problem, I'm here.
Right.
That's really big, and I think we do certain things, and you wouldn't believe, just like having something different. When I say that, like memorabilia, or
Yes.
merchandise,
Yeah.
like
Merch.
my guys are all about that. If one guy has something that the other one doesn't, there's, they're griping or this or that. So we had these things. They're like boonie hats. They're like they got the whole disc around the head, and they've got our emblem on them, but they're super nice. Like you would see coaches in college wearing them. They're dry fit type deals.
Mhm.
I happened like to buy them on like a coincidence and got them. Well, you would think that like that was like the bee's knees. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I gave those out to guys, like, or we'll do a gift card type thing, throughout the mowing season. It's like if guys complete everything that they're supposed to throughout the course of a day and they're efficient, they do it in a timely manner, and blah blah blah. Hey, we'll give them a $25 gift card. One thing that we do when a new employee comes in, we actually sit down and have an entire packet that they fill out that tells me nothing but their personal interests,
Right.
things that they like to do, things they like to eat, things they like, where they like to go. Imagine, you're 5 years from now, somebody's been working for me, they forgot about that packet, and they
No.
forgot that they wrote down their favorite restaurant was
Be-
Cracker Barrel.
because the thing is, when people start working, a lot of the little things they miss out on. They don't get no more. They don't get the thank you. They don't get the
Sure.
hello. They don't get the time to sit down and have a conversation where people want to get to know how your day was. It's almost like an assembly line. So that's why we try to do some things different as in the school where we do a each one teach one, where we give students the opportunity to empower themselves and teach a class or teach on something that you're expertise in and share it with your peers so they can ask you questions because you feel like, man, you take an interest in me just being a person who like the crossbow.
Mhm.
It doesn't really apply to barbering, but yes, it does because it gets your peers and people around you to get to know you better and know you well and understand that, you know what, maybe one day he listened to me. He said, I like the crossbow. Hey, you know what? There's a magazine for crossbow. It might just be a little small token, a little gesture,
Right.
but you remembered that fact. You gave it to them.
Do you know their birthdays?
Not right
Do
offhand.
you get birthday cards?
So my wife actually kind of handles that type of thing. So when their
Mhm.
birthday, and there's on occasion, I'll go out and I even if I could say there was something I could be more consistent at, is that type of thing, is like
Mhm.
when their birthday comes up. One thing we do when you reach your year anniversary with being with our company, we actually have a vest that we purchased. That's a super nice vest that has like our emblem and stuff on it, and that's a hot commodity around our office.
We
And
talked about just the birthday thing because Craig mentioned one time that that's like your day. As
right.
a human being on earth, like when it's your
Yeah.
birthday, it's like, oh, you can't tell me nothing. It's my birthday. Like that's the best. You gonna go to work hype. You know what I'm saying? So like, get anybody say nothing to you. Like that would be, especially with clients or employees, like to acknowledge people's birthdays when they have them.
Little tokens like that because you don't. It doesn't happen. I remember in elementary school, and my mother used to be like, "Hey, I baked this cake, and I want you to take it to your teachers." I'm like, "Man, I don't want to do that." Like, but her thought process is, "I appreciate you for teaching my child." It's not about him being a teacher's pet. It's just appreciation. And the teachers would be happy when I try to hide it so I won't look like the teacher's pet and drop it off, take off. You know what I mean? But at
Yeah.
the same token, those things, people feel happy. You feel good when someone puts a little gesture in your day to show you a token of appreciation.
Well, it's funny you say that. My wife's a teacher, and my daughter's in kindergarten, and they go to different schools. Well, one of my daughter's speech teachers has had COVID, and based on her like time and stuff, she's had to go back to work. Not infected with COVID, but just kind of the post remnants of
Mhm.
COVID.
That drag, that
Yeah,
stress.
right.
Yeah.
That, and she's had pneumonia and having to go to work. All that type of stuff. Well, my wife the other day, we went and got pizza, and she actually bought her a small pizza and then had my daughter take it to school. And it was just like, I was like, you thought of that. Like, I mean, it was just huge, like, I
Right.
was like, wow, I mean, like,
That's big.
I never in a million years would even, like, I mean, and sometimes we get so caught up in life too that, like, we're missing kind of some of the things that really matter. I know that had to impact her. I mean, my little 5-year-old running up with a pizza. I mean,
Of
like, was just
course.
like, I mean, my
I can
gosh,
feel it thinking about
that's
it.
what I'm saying. I mean, imagine you feel like, dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like dirt. And it's like, this little 5-year-old's running up with a medium-sized pizza and like your favorite drink. And like, I just know that changed, and you also don't know what's going to change people's day. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And like what you say to
A,
people and how you say
a
it.
simple hello. How are you? How you doing?
And you might be the last. That might be their last. Like if you came in and they already thinking about that's it, and then you come in and you have a negative attitude, like what exactly?
Yeah, pushes them right over the edge, man. That's one thing. I'm a big attitude guy. I'm a real big
Attitude is everything.
huge man. I mean, and I'm, even when, and I learned that back at the prison, like so many,
That's all you got.
so many people were so like derogatory, man. And it's like, yeah, is life, is it tough? Is it a tough job? Absolutely, not taking nothing away from that. But like one thing that I learned was like, when people talk to me or address me, I'd always be like, how are you? They'd ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, I'm phenomenal.
Yes.
I'm fantastic. And they'd be like, why do you always say that? And I'd say, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Part of it is I'm lying to myself. I'm telling myself something. I'm a big believer in your mind, and your mind controls your body, all that stuff.
Mindset.
It's huge, man. And it's like when you're saying, hey, I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. And I truly believe that if I say I'm phenomenal or I'm fantastic, by the time I get to the end of my day and I look back on my day, and I'm like, it was a great day. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, so that's some things that I've really tried to change for myself is really, and I took that into my
Mindset,
business.
attitude, and I think it's being part of some type of team, some type of sport thing. Because I'd say the same thing. I say, "Hey, Craig, how you doing?" Man, I don't have bad days.
That's the truth, man.
I don't have bad days because thinking back on other people around the circumstances and what they're going through,
100%.
you know what I mean? So I kind of put myself in and get readjusted quick. I give myself affirmation quick to realize, are you really having, is it really that bad? No, it's not.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I can relate to that.
Well, I think too, like I'm really good at compartmentalizing things, and I've really become like my mind's been trained to like, back to football. You know what I'm saying? Like you have
Yes.
one bad play, like you can't dwell on it. You got to
Uh-uh.
move on, And so for us, I've been trained, and I've had an elite set of skills. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I've been trained to think
You have, and it kind of bothers you sometimes when you expect people around you to be
others.
the same way, and they don't hold themselves accountable. They make excuses, and you're like, oh man.
And then you see through it easy, and it's just like, what's up? Like, why?
But you have to realize everybody didn't have those
That's the truth,
applications
man.
and those trainings.
Yeah, no,
So
you're
you have
right.
to meet them where they are.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to do, and that's something that if I something that I've had to learn is how
Yes.
to, be able to adapt to different people. That's a big thing. Is like being able to adapt to different folks and everybody. I'm responsible, excluding myself, for 15 people every day. Their livelihood, they've got their own issues
Of
their
all
own
different
problems.
ages.
That's
Different.
up. I mean, my oldest employee is 66 and my youngest is 19.
Right.
So think about the world difference. You know what I'm saying? Like between a 66-year-old and a 19-year-old. So being able to take all that and really move it forward in the right direction, is something that has been a challenge, but at the same time has been rewarding.
Yes.
To be able to see what we've been able to accomplish has been great.
I mean, I think it's important because, like I said, all the applications, everything we do, it applies to the same genre. If you want to work in this field, in that field, whatever field you want to work, the building blocks and the stepping stone is right there.
Absolutely.
When you try to reinvent it and try to do something different, it falls apart. Because everybody wants to be treated fairly, equally, and treated well.
It's the truth. That's 100% the truth. That's what anybody wants, is to be fairly treated.
And I mean, these principles have all been around since the beginning of time. I feel like nothing new is done. I think about like being a leader like yourself, or you as well. I think about like Hannibal, getting elephants across the Alps, to conquer, right? Like what you would say to motivate some people to do something so crazy like that.
Sure.
And those kind of principles, they've all been here since the beginning of time. It's just taking them, using them the right way, and letting your seed grow.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. And there's no real path to success. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it, there's no like this is how you do it.
Mm.
I would just say that for me, it's all about hard work. It's all about dedication and committing yourself to a cause, whatever that cause is. Like, and in our case, it's like I said, it's doing stuff bigger. It's bigger than me, and it's one of those things we really want to make an impact in our community. Not only with property maintenance, but also in people's lives,
Right.
and giving people, when people come to work for us, it's a great environment where you enjoy working with your fellow employees, and you've got a good environment to work. If, for instance, we're having a company dinner here on Saturday for Christmas, and people that have been with me for 2 years, or all the way down to the girl that just started today, they'll all get a gift.
Hmm.
I'll get multiple things. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really put a lot of thought into that type of stuff, because who knows, who's, buying for their kids and not buying for themselves, what I'm
Right.
saying? Or buying for their spouse or whatever.
Yep.
They may get, this may be the only Christmas present they get,
And that's important because we all say as men sometimes that, don't give me nothing. But when you get something, it feels good.
Oh yeah. Means a
Um,
lot.
Yeah.
But so what about we talked a little bit about this today with students, but like, do you have disciplinary policies that are written out for
Yes.
your employees?
We do.
Are,
Yes.
are those
HR.
do those usually settle themselves? Are they pretty flexible, or like, are you pretty flexible? Are you like, cut dry? That's what it says. Get out of here, type deal. Is that
I would say it's a case by case situation, and
If you're an habitual drunk driver, come on.
right, exactly. I mean, there's things into it. Like I said, it's like you said, it's a case by case type scenario. One thing that we do have an employee handbook that each employee gets when they come in.
who wrote that? Is that
I did, and then of course, like I said, it's subject to change. It's one of those things that we're constantly learning. And like I said, I tell people all the time, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out kind of as I go. But at the same time, I've learned through trial and tribulation. We always said it in a correction setting. Policy was built off mistakes. It's kind of the same scenario.
Of course.
But at the same time, it's important because there's no accountability. And what's nice too, and this is one thing that my mentor really talked about was, if you're just having this 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 spoken about rule of thumb, this is what we should go by. He said that obviously subject to change. He said, but at the same time, if you've got a structure in place for disciplinary action, you can then hold them accountable to a piece of paper. You're not holding them accountable to you, if that makes sense.
Right.
You're just holding them accountable to this.
and that puts stress on you.
That's the
too,
truth. And every employee signs it, and it's their responsibility to talk. Like, we go over it briefly, but it's not like a line by line thing. I treat everybody like adults. You should look at it. Yeah, you should read it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, but
Because when something comes up, I expect you to know it.
absolutely. Hey, but at the same time, I'm pretty laid back. I don't.
it's not the military.
No, I
You're
mean,
going-
no.
It's not the micromanagement.
No,
Yeah.
and that's one thing too. I tell people when they come in, it's like, you'll never be micromanaged by me. Like, it's just, that's not how I roll. Because I don't want to be micromanaged, but I also expect to be treated like an adult. I'm going to treat you like an adult when you show up, because your family's on the line. That's the way I look at it. That's what I tell them. I'm like, your family's on the line, not mine. Like, to a degree, and it's important that when you show up here, we get your best. And I think too, one thing that we also talk about is, and I talk about this a lot with our new employees, is having that work-life balance. Like, one thing for me that I do not do this, and I hate that in a sense. I don't communicate with our staff past 5 o'clock. Like, when we leave for the day, that's your time.
Right.
When you're home, that's your time. That's not my time. You know what I'm saying? And when you're home enjoying time with your family, you don't need to be hearing about.
So if a staff tears up a lawn, you talk about it the next day.
Exactly. So, I mean, if there's a situation that can't be addressed before 5 o'clock or 5:30, you know what I mean? Now, we do push snow. We have snow accounts and stuff. So there are, extreme weather situations that we've kind of got to deal with at times.
Right.
But a lot of times, even 9 times out of 10, we've got that situation kind of squared away before it happens.
That's probably good too, because it gives if there's a situation where they might feel bad or stressed out about it, and they need to calm down. It gives them some time to unwind, or if it's like an altercation thing as well, they got a time to kind of sit back and think, okay, maybe my first reaction wasn't the best
Sure.
reaction.
And I think so too. One thing that we also like, and I say this to them, that it's not like you won't hear from me, but I can always hear from you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I doze, but
See-
I doze, but never close.
See, you live on a lot of quotes just like me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It had to
bunch.
happen.
I think it's just having something just in the back of your air, just in your subconscious mind,
Yeah.
to think about, helps you go through the day.
That's the truth, man.
You know what I mean? Because I know you talk about the process and the event.
Yeah.
One of my best quotes I've ever had is from my teacher in the 7th grade. He's excuses are the tools of incompetence, which build monuments into nothingness, and a person who practices them are seldomly good at nothing else. And I try to tell all my students that when they come in
Shoot.
for, he said, shoot,
Shoot.
when they come in for orientation,
powerful.
that's something that you have to go through.
Yeah.
Because think about that. Everybody has an excuse
It's the truth,
why
man.
they don't want to train, why they don't want to be good. But if you put your name on this dotted line to be a barber, you're not here to sharpen pencils.
Right.
You're here to cut hair. You're here to learn a skill. You're here to learn to be the best person possibly for this field.
Sure.
And I'll prepare you for that.
Sure.
So when you come with excuses, I mean, I'll listen to them, but I won't hear them.
Right. No, 100%. That's huge, man. That's something that shoot, man, you need to put that in writing.
It is.
Do you have quotes? Like, so one thing, we're actually, our office building is going to go through a remodel.
Mhm.
And, I'm sure you know this. I don't want to be like super like football related. That's one thing that I try to stay away from. But like I when we get ours done, like I've actually got a place on my Google Drive that's nothing but slogans.
Mhm.
And like one of them's like grind out good days.
Yep.
I saw that on Mountain Union's locker room, and I was like, man, that hit me somewhere different. You know what I'm saying? Like, grind out good days, man.
Yes.
And it's like, so like what we're going to do is we're actually going to put some of these things throughout our spot. Like across my office, it says,
Yep.
don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions.
So
That's
grind
big.
out good days. Like when you're having your best day, try to fit as much in there as you can to get done.
No,
Is
I
that-
think it goes to it's a process,
Right.
and it's going to be stuff that you're not going to be able to figure out, but it's okay. Figure it out.
Well, and there's going to be times too where like stuff's going to suck,
Yeah.
but that doesn't make your day bad, or that
No.
doesn't make the process bad. That's just part of it. Like and I'm preaching to myself as I'm sitting here talking to y'all. It's like there's things that I've been through just in the last, let's say 90 days, that we've dealt with or whatever the case may be. And it's like grind out those days, put them together. You know what I'm saying? Like put good days together,
But most people understand once you have a business and you working with the business, there's something that comes up every day. Everybody thinks it's just smooth sailing.
Tell me about it.
And until the employee gets in the employer's shoes, they don't understand.
It's truth.
They think you're just doing this or saying this just because.
That's the truth.
No, it's a process. It's a reason why I'm having you do this. It's a reason why I'm saying it to you this way.
It's funny how you become like the type of person that's like 5 steps ahead. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like I'm constantly like thinking about,
Evolving.
if I do this, what if I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like if I do that, what's the, I'm one of my skill sets is I'm really good at solving issues
Mhm.
like super quick. And one thing that happens is people rely on me to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Because one thing is you're fair. You're always going to be fair. And
Yeah.
that's how I equate myself to. You come with a problem, give me some, you know what I'm saying? Give me
30
some-
seconds.
Yeah.
Like give me just a minute.
Yeah,
I'll
give
come
me-
up with
yeah,
something.
let me think about it. You know what I'm saying? Let me help you come up with some solutions.
Sure.
Let's work this out. And once you're fair and you treat people that way, more often than not, you can come up and be a quick thinker.
My dad used to always ask me, he would ask me, why you do the right thing? And the only answer to that is because it's the right thing to do.
That's it.
And everybody in their mind, no matter who you are, where you grew up, what your background is, you still know what the right thing to do
Of
is.
course.
And you have to make that decision daily what the right thing to do is.
Yes.
Sure.
So, I mean, it don't matter what you believe spiritually or whatever, internally, every human being knows what the right thing to do is. And you have to make that decision.
Well, sometimes you have to coach people and show people because some people, they through circumstances where they're from, where they at, it kind of takes them a longer time. So you have to understand that process.
I mean, they still gonna feel it, but
Yeah.
it don't mean they always act it out. Like
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
we've been on this podcast now for an hour. It doesn't seem like it.
what do you think?
Oh, I mean, I'm whatever.
You
Like
like
Joe,
it?
I love talking, man.
Like
Like
I said, I love talking.
this is one thing for me, man, that I'm always iron sharpens iron. So
Mhm.
I'm all about like getting the opportunity. I told my wife when I was driving down here that I was coming to a type of podcast. She was like, a podcast for what? And I was like, actually for barbers. And she was like, what? I said, yeah. I said, I'm actually, but I always look at opportunities, man. Like I'm gleaning from you and like I'm gleaning for you. Like when I get the opportunity to like talk to people, we're growing. And that's to me, that's the key, man.
And it keeps you from being burnt out. That's
Yeah,
what we talked
of
about.
course. And then one key thing I started saying in the past couple of weeks, your network
Oh my gosh.
increases your net worth.
That's the truth, dude. It's all about what you know.
Yeah, your net worth increases your net worth.
That's the
Simple
truth.
equation.
That's the truth, man.
Yeah.
And that net worth is more than money.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Priceless.
well, that opportunity to bounce something off somebody,
Priceless.
like it's being able to sit down and say, okay, one thing that, like I said, my mentor does for me is like, I bounce stuff off it because he's probably twice our size. He's got 30 plus employees, does probably $3.5 million worth of revenue, all this type of stuff, has problems that he's seen 3 times over that I've been through. And he's only 28.
Right.
I'm 31. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, I also see, I'm helping other people. You know what I'm saying? When I talk to them, it's like, I'm giving them that stuff. So, I mean, it's so much bigger. Your net worth is so much bigger than money, and it's huge.
And hopefully when people listen to this podcast, so they'll get something out of it and understand that there's so many different genres and jobs out there, but it's still the same application.
Yeah, 100%.
And we bring people on this podcast to share their views, share their work ethic, share the things, their values that they've learned, how to get to that plus, how to maintain your relevancy,
Sure,
how to continuously grow. Because a lot of times we get stagnant.
it's truth,
In
man.
all industries, we get stagnant. We don't know what to do. So it's important for a student starting out there in this industry what to look for, what to know. Because most students, one of the key things they say they want to open a shop.
Sure.
They want to be their own boss. And
some people ain't built like that.
And when I first started, no, I mean realistically.
No, I'm serious.
And when I first started, I was encouraging everybody just go open their own shop. But now what I see and what I know of from studying this industry, the barber and cosmetology, nails, aesthetics, it's not meant for everyone to be ahead of the household.
Right.
You can be part of the household and be prosperous and live well.
Oh my gosh. And one thing that it's funny you say that, man, and not to interrupt you, I apologize. I talk about it all the time is like knowing what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing what you want, like being laser focused on what you want. Not everybody, we talk about this in the mowing business. I told a guy this here back last summer. We talked about like, he mows like 80 properties, takes the winter off, doesn't push any snow. He's off the holidays, gets to hunt. I mean, think about that. He makes probably $60,000, $70,000 a year. I mean, all that stuff. And I was like, man, what's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying?
Sounds good.
There's yeah, I'm like, man, like what's wrong with that? And I said, one thing you need to do is what do you want? Like what do you want out of life? And here's the thing. Mowing those 60, 70 yards, being off the wintertime, not pushing any snow, no employees. I mean, my gosh, like it's awesome, And so it's like that's a big thing in all business is like you need to establish where you see yourself and what you want. Like that 5-year plan we just talked about. Like get something together, like where you see yourself. And then when you get there,
what is your why?
That's the truth, man.
What is your why?
Yeah.
What is your why for doing what you do? What is your why? Figure that out. Find that out.
It's truth, man. That's where you're going, how you're getting there, And like for us, like when I left the prison to do this full time, my goal was to, in a nutshell, was to build something bigger than myself and build something to the point that if anything ever happened to me, God forbid it, that my wife and kids wouldn't have to stress or worry, and my employees wouldn't have to stress or worry.
And it's the same application when it comes to barbering. You know what I mean? You're going to be your own boss.
Sure.
And you have to start thinking about, how am I going to apply this to myself full time? How am I going to apply this to myself in a year? How is this going to correlate to myself in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
Absolutely, man. That's like I said, just knowing the big picture, knowing what you want, how are you going to get there, knowing that, and what are you doing today? That's a big thing too, just like what you talked about. What are you doing today that's going to set you up 5 years from now? Like, how are you, for us, my goal in 5 years to be a $5 million company. Okay, well, what am I doing today that's setting me up when I'm 36 and that opportunity comes and I'm not ready for it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What infrastructure am I putting in place today that's going to get me there? And that's anybody's goal. Like, what do you see yourself? Like, if it's 3 years, 2 years, 6 months, if it's you're living day to day, which some people are, it's like, okay, what am I doing today that's going to get me to tomorrow?
What is your blueprint?
That's the truth, man. And it's like,
what is your SWOT analysis?
That's a truth. Yeah.
See, I'm the short term. I'm like today and then tomorrow. Like I can't, for me, that's just how I live because my dad always told me one day at a time. And it's like, I can't get to tomorrow without going today. So why would I rush to, what I'm saying?
I know, but it's the same principle, just taking care of today to get to tomorrow. It's the same principle.
I have a long term. I got a long term, but I got my head down getting there. I don't know.
But it's the same principle as the process. You know what I mean? But like some people can see the process and understand what the fourth quarter is going to be like. That doesn't mean they've been in the fourth quarter, but they understand and preparing themselves. But we still in the first quarter now. We battling, we grinding that
No,
day.
no doubt.
But we understand the second quarter is going to be a quarter too. Then the third quarter is going to be something too. But you have to kind of see the end of the movie, see how it's going to. But you still going day by day, but you can still see what it looks like towards the end.
Right. And that's at the same time, that's so important, man. Because if you don't see that picture, why are you doing what you're doing? You know what I mean?
And it
Like,
doesn't have to be exactly how you
perfect.
see that picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of frustrates some people, and where people lose focus, and then they lose they lose that they lose that man, it didn't turn out that way. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay if it didn't turn out that way. What are you going to do next to get it close to that?
Mhm. I listen to Eric Thomas a lot and his YouTube channel and stuff. And he talks about, I mean, just in his story, if you know much about him, he talks about how it took him 11 years to get a 4-year degree, you know? And it's like, you still have a 4-year degree. It's like, so what difference? How long is it? What difference does it
Yeah.
make? If you do it in 6 months or 11 years, like, what difference does it make? He's got his PhD now. So it's like, dude was homeless, you know? Like, yeah,
Understand the process.
the truth, man.
Understand it. It's
Yep.
not going to get there today. Yeah, you're looking at today. You processing today. You're giving your best today. But what is it going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And understand you can. And it's going to be some frustration, but prepare for that. That grind. You have to grind to shine.
Truth, man.
Yeah.
That's truth, man. And
You got to grind to shine.
dude, big facts. I tell you, like, and there's gonna, like I said, there's gonna be things happen, and there's gonna be stuff, and I could, there's times where I could sit back and talk for hours on like stuff that's happened, and like just as a small a sample size, I got done playing football, the NFL thing didn't work out. I couldn't find a job. I ended up working at a housekeeper as a housekeeper at a mental hospital. I mean, you want to talk about humbling? I was working with high school kids, and it's like I go from being an All-American in college to doing, it's like in a 6-month span, and it was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? But now looking back on it, it's like I had to go through that.
You learn so much from
Yeah,
that time.
my gosh, man, I just got married. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I couldn't find a job, applied at like 50 some odd places. I'm like, I'm supposed to be the most employable dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Like in Southwest Virginia, and it's like East Tennessee, and like I couldn't find a job nowhere, and then like it just kind of. But if I wouldn't have went through that, I wouldn't have went to Enterprise Rent a Car and like learned some stuff about business, and you know what I'm saying, which would intrigue which intrigued my thought process when it come to business, because I would never have told you I've been doing this stuff. And it's just like one thing kind of had led to another, man. But it's like you had to go through that. Like I had to go through that to get where I'm at.
It's called growth.
Yep.
It's called growth. It's called growth.
Yeah, it's in that song.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the climb. So
sing it. So
I don't know it right off.
This podcast I can go for like 2 days straight.
Oh, tell me about it.
3
man.
days, 4 days.
I figure like y'all, because like I would hear him talk and I hear you talk, and I'm like, y'all need to meet, so we gotta make it happen. I was like,
I was good when you said because I always tell you, I might come up with some topics for the podcast, and when you like, Craig, let's do this. I was like, word.
well, I just know in his industry, it's hard. It's hard work sometimes. Working any kind of physical labor, it's hard to keep people working for you. And he's done so well here recently, and I felt like that his input from another industry, and then as well as him speaking the same way Chris Bossio was speaking, that it just made sense to me.
And I appreciate the opportunity.
The same application.
Oh, 100%. And it not just in barbering or in lawn care. I mean, this is any business application, like across the board. Like it's things that, if you grow at any capacity, whether it's you plus one or two, if you open a barbershop, have employees and that structure, I mean, retention's a big deal. Keeping people's a big deal.
Yes.
And I hate to say it, in a sense, it's only going to get harder. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to like finding people and finding motivated people, and that constant search and that pursuit for good people to do good work, is something that is going to be a never-ending suit. At least that's what I'm figuring out in our industry. So
what do you think about the podcast? Is this your first one ever?
Ever.
So what do you think about it?
Man, it's awesome. I think this is one thing I will say. This is that I've always had I've always been interested in it. It's something I think it'd be awesome. Like, but at the same time, I'm so busy doing so many things. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm, like I said, man, I literally, if you wouldn't have called me, I would have been here right at 2:30. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so busy, but stuff like this, man, I have a real passion for people. Like
this is our day off. We do this. This is
and this helps goes through not just being an instructor, not just being in school, not just being a barber. It kind of adds layers to it. You look forward to it. It's fun.
No, I agree.
Because you have, like you say, when learning is fun, you want to do it more.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. No, I agree. And this has been an awesome experience. And I hope in the future I'd get an opportunity to possibly do something, and something that has nothing really even to do to like. I think there'd be a big need for just helping people, like when it comes to advice or business or this or that,
You do it long enough, you become an expert.
That's the truth,
and
man.
then you can apply it and teach someone else.
Sure.
Because what's going on right now, a lot of people are teaching people what their expertise in, what they're good at. And it's just and people are paying for that. Instead
Sure.
of you want to, and like you say, in this era, people want it so quick. A 4-year degree, if you can condense that in
6 months.
6 months, less than that, people are jumping on it.
30 seconds on TikTok.
That's the truth, dude.
There's a app. I think it's called Udemy, where you can go in there and pay for any type of application, and it will teach you how to code in about like 2 months.
Really?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It'll teach you how to do something Barber, and like there's an application with everything, and it's the same principle. Have you heard of that, Lathan?
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's wild. And I'll tell you this too, and this is something I've always lived by, and this is back to my high school football playing days. I always said, what good is what you know if you don't pass it along?
Right.
And, it's useless in your brain. It's useless in, not sharing things and helping people and being a part of people's lives and being an impact.
Knowledge is meant to be shared, because if it wasn't shared to me, I wouldn't be where I am.
It's the truth, dude.
And some people try to hoard it and thinking if they pass it on, share it, that they're losing something. You're gaining if you pass it on.
That's the truth, man. And there's a lot of people out there too that, like, even in our industry, as far as the lawn care side of things goes, where people don't want to talk about success and they don't want to talk about how good you're doing. And it's like,
don't say how much the prices are.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's like, man, none of that matters to me. Like, it's like, I want to see you two be the best barbers. I want to see guys be, some of the biggest property maintenance. I mean, like, I want to be the biggest too. I mean, I want a piece of that pie, but at the same time, it's like,
I can all eat.
I don't hate on success, man. Like,
No,
I mean, why would
no.
you? And it's like, there's so many people in today's society where things are so suppressed and life is suppressed and people being suppressed.
They don't want to see you do well.
That's what I'm saying, man. And it's like, I don't function like that,
One of my friends sent me a message today in Morristown, and he's getting ready to open a school. You met Rob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he said, Craig, I passed. I'm like, man, congratulations. Great. He's like, Craig, man, just thank you for supporting me and being there. I'm like, hey, I want to see you succeed.
Absolutely, dude.
And that's it. That was the last text.
I'm 100% about that, man.
I want to see you succeed.
100%.
I'm happy for you.
No, dude. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, they put people down or they don't uplift. And I've never understood that, and I've never been that guy.
Well, you're a football player. You understand what teamwork is.
Truth, man.
Yeah.
We talk about that too. Like,
yeah.
I just don't understand why you want. Why can't we just do the door together? It's the same door. We're going to see. You want to go where I want to go. Let's just go.
Let's help each other get there.
Exactly.
That's the thing, man.
It's real simple.
You can only do but so much, and that's one thing that I've had to learn. And that's been, when I first started, stepped out, and did my own thing. I thought, kind of that mentality, my four no more. You know what I'm saying? But then I've gotten to a point. There's only so much we can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only so much grass we can cut, landscape we can do, trees we can cut down. Like, there's only so much. And like, granted, and I've learned this too, and I'm sure, at y'all's capacities as well, you've learned this. It's like if I had 60 employees right now, think of the headache, you know what I'm saying? Think of the situations and the stuff that I've had to, you'd have to cross that bridge, and it's like, it's one of those things for me that, like, I look at it, it's like, I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying growing, but I also want to bring people with me. You know what I'm saying? I want people to be successful too.
We can get there together. When the tide comes in, all ship rise.
That's it, the truth. I'm telling you.
There's no more simpler than that.
Yeah.
Not one ship is going to go up, one is going to go down. When the tide comes in, all ship rise.
That's true.
Yeah.
No doubt, man.
But again, as we said, all good things got to come to an end. And I know you're a busy man. MI's a busy man. We all busy. We had a staff meeting today. Had a great lunch earlier.
Thank you.
It was amazing. It was just good to see the women happy though. They were all seeing like it was a good vibe in there.
It just need just to commune, just to come together, and
it was great.
See.
And I think it was about 12 of us in there.
There's several of us. I didn't realize how many people actually worked there.
For
that was
real?
great. When I walked in, I was like,
"Where all these people coming from?"
Yeah, it's wild because you just see them all day. You don't even think about how many people actually until they're in a room together.
And then you met Amanda for the first time, which was good. Yeah,
seen her name on the paper.
Cool.
Yep. So
that's great.
Again, Barber College Success brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cuts Academy JC, Crown Cuts Academy Bristol, and Craig Crown Cuts Downtown JC. And my co-host himself in person.
M.I. Fields, M.I. Your Barber on Instagram. Follow me. If you have any questions, I don't mind speaking to you anytime.
And our co-host.
Mr. Aaron Lundy. I appreciate the opportunity, guys, for letting me come in and just shed some light on stuff that I've learned,
Your
So what?
business.
and also Lundy's Lawn Care.
Yes, sir. And what we doing here? We letting people know about East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia. It's a
Absolutely.
beautiful place. Some great people.
Absolutely.
Because we spreading the word, spreading the message that we're over 70 different countries around the world.
Wow.
Yes, top 25 podcasts in the country.
Wow.
Barber College content, Barber content. Top 25 podcasts on barber content in the world.
That's awesome.
So we're doing some epic things, and we're trying to bring some traffic to this industry. Let people know it's a wonderful field, a wonderful trade. This cosmetology, barber, and aesthetics, nails industry. Most people don't understand it, and that's what we aim to do in this podcast: to teach them, let them know what it's about, what it's like. Any tips, any trades, anything that we can give them, it's on this podcast. We have over 70 episodes as well.
Awesome.
So we have plenty episodes from your first 8 weeks in barber school to how to be successful, to from female barbers. What else? Am I finance? We
Booking app.
booking app.
We got it.
We gotta hit
We
that.
ain't forgot it.
Yeah, we haven't forgot it. And again, if you have any questions, send us a message to our Instagram, our Facebook, or go check it out. Check us out on YouTube or check us out on Instagram with Barber College Success. There is a IG page for that. Send us your messages. Send us your questions. We would be glad to answer them. And we had a guest. She drove from Texas just to see the school. She said she wanted to find out more about barbering. She jumped on the podcast, and this was the first one that came up. She drove 17 hours.
Wow.
I was like, amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
Cool deal.
And we are continuing our tour next week. Hopefully going to Nashville to do our Confess Project tour. Being advocates for mental health in this barbering industry is something that we're dared to. And you want to speak on that a little bit, Emma? What do you think about that?
I think it's truly a blessing because most men don't talk about what's got going on, and even just having like you come here is almost like fellowship, and we can kind of talk about our trials and dealing with
Yes.
life, and it's kind of like the Confess Project, just wanting to connect with people on that level, and there's just a stigma out there that men can't speak about what they're dealing with, and we're hoping to break that.
And I haven't told you yet, but in February we're going to the headquarters.
Oh, in Boston?
Yeah, Gillette. I spoke to the guy from Gillette on Friday. So I keep throwing these things at you. I'm sorry, man.
I mean, I'm ready for them. I was getting bored. I ain't gonna lie. So you go to Nashville, then we go to Boston. Okay, let's
I
get
spoke to him on Friday, and we had a good conversation on the phone with a guy
Awesome.
from Gillette. They have some new products coming out, and they want us to be part of it. And hey,
I'm telling you, man. Shoot, we're big Patriots fans around here too.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm a
all
Patriots
day.
fan. I'm a Patriots. He's Craig. I told you Craig's from Boston.
Yeah.
Are you? I didn't know that.
All
Yeah.
day, Patriots fan all day.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
I knew I liked you, man. Like,
I had to happen.
that's
I
what
told
I'm
you.
talking about.
It was
man.
written.
It's a big game tonight.
Yes, sir.
That's the truth, man.
That's a big game tonight.
100. So,
Yes, sir. But again, shout out to my man Lathan for always on the ones and twos, preparing us for this awesome occasion. Again, check us out. Hit us up. We do enrollments every month. You want to change careers, you want to be a female barber, you want to be a boss in this industry. Check out this industry. Check out Crown Cuts Academy, JC, or the local cosmetology or barber college near you. Here in East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia that we service, hey, we doing some big things. We spreading our wings, spreading love. Again, the JC way. It's the only way we know how to do it is the Crown Cuts way. Peace.